use?
I cannot think of a document, but when you said expiration, I thought, isn't there any useful cozy header parameter for cozy keys or something?
Yeah, but I don't think that cozy actually explains why this is needed. It just assumes that you want to expire things. And
Yeah.
so the in a more introductory document over there in Skit, there might be a good use for such a pointer.
I'll think about it, but I cannot think of anything out of my head.
Yeah,
I'm curious to know.
if you stumble over one, please send me a
Sure.
link. Yeah, I have problems searching for that because it's so motherhood and apple pie that um, it certainly was something that was the way things were done at the time I started to do security. So there was no new paper like about the AAD limits, which kind of popped up from nowhere.
And by the way, there is no cozy key common parameter for that.
Okay.
Yeah. So let's go for the usual 4 past rule.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I also joined in the meantime, so.
Yes, go.
Hi.
So did you have any slides, Esko?
No, no slides.
Okay, so we'll just show the notes.
Yeah, the notes would be good, yeah.
So I think we're going to have relatively simple discussions anyway, and I'll try to capture as much as I can in the notes. Any help is appreciated. Thank you, Richard. And it helps if I put the link to the notes in the chat. There we go.
So does anyone know when somebody shows up as Zulip user in the participants list?
I think you need to be still somehow logged in Zulip and recently active in the core stream, probably.
Okay, so I have no idea what it means that Christian and Marisha are in this list, but nobody else.
Yeah, also because I see Malisha online in Zulip, but not Christian. Actually. Oh, well. Okay, but since it's 4 past, let's start. Welcome everyone.
The Nodewell one, yes?
Yeah, I also see the note well now.
I hope that is not copyrighted music in the background.
No. Original performance. I think Marco had a problem with audio or not?
Yeah, he already sounded pretty broken up.
No.
Okay, it's better maybe?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Okay. What we have in the agenda for today? Brief status update on some documents in AD or ISG review, and the point raised by ESCO on the registration of URIs in interface registry, and the pull request on the href document from Karsten. Is there any other topic or any bashing on the agenda? None. Okay, do you want to take the update part, Karsten?
Yeah, so right now we have two documents in the in various stages of ISG processing. One is called SID, and I reported about that 2 weeks ago at the IETF. We had this breakfast where we discussed things on IETF Monday, and we had some further offline discussions during that week, and that, as I reported on Wednesday, that caused Roman to take away his discuss, but we still have two discusses out there that are in older versions of the document, and I have been trying to nudge the ADs to fix that, but of course this is a busy time with the Thanksgiving holidays coming up, and even the European ones probably have to talk to the Americans about everything that needs to be done before Thanksgiving. So that will probably take some more time until this is done. So we are just looking forward to those discussions getting cleared, and then we will need to address the remaining comments, and then we might be done. And the other one is Oscar ad hoc, and I think Marco, you can report about that better than I can.
Soon reply to the reviewers. If they don't shout, we plan to merge the PRs and submit a version 10 of the document latest early next week. And then it should really be in the ISG hands.
Yeah, the next ISG meeting is on November 30th. So we are nearly, well, if this is submitted this week, it might still go there. I don't know how full that meeting is. Otherwise, we will go one meeting later.
Right.
Okay.
Thank you. Then on the next topic, those are the notes from ESCO. ESCO, if you want, you can share your screen, or otherwise I can.
Oh yeah, you can share the notes if you want. Yeah, that will be fine.
Yeah. So let's see, that should be this window. This window, actually. And I can make it bigger. Okay.
Yeah, so I think I just copied that from the previous interim where we had scheduled that. Oh, that's gone again.
Yeah, I didn't touch anything.
Oh, okay. Maybe it just detects slow network connectivity.
Up again.
Yeah, so this was indeed raised by a question on the core parameters mailing list. And maybe just to say the background was that there was a registration request for basically specific core interfaces, so for the core parameters registry. And these were basically using URNs. And so my response was basically, well, you don't need to register anything with URNs or URIs because that's already managed by the namespace of the organization that has claimed that particular URN or URI. So we don't enter these things in the registry. And then the question comes back basically, but how can people who maybe want to get an overview of what are the all the core attributes that we can use, for example, interface types or resource types, those kind of things. So how can we find them easily? If they're not registered, you don't see that they exist. And you don't see that basically the core link format is actually being used by organizations to define things. So I think that's how this question was raised. So would it be useful or interesting to have something like maybe like an informative way of registering that okay, there is an organization that uses this and defines core attributes, and you can find them here, maybe just pointing to the organization or a spec that they publish. I think that was the latest idea I have, because it doesn't seem to make sense to register all of those things if they are in private URN or URI namespace.
Yeah, so there is a registry for URN namespaces, and of course KNX is in there. But that's a 160-line document, and of course most of those registrations are not about IoT. So this is not really a good way to find registration. So the only thing that the KNX registration says is the KNX association is behind that.
That's right.
And of course there are templates. I don't know where to find those. So there's probably some more information somewhere. You said we don't need to register the URNs in the interface or resource type registries. Actually, we are not allowed to.
Yeah,
So
that's right.
the text doesn't give us leeway there. Otherwise, we could say, okay, we do a friendly registration of that, but we can't. So the question is there another way we could collect this information? Probably not at the IENA website, but on one of our websites. And I think what we came up with in the discussion was that we probably should have a wiki page doing that, which is referenced from the core landing page.
Yeah, so this could be from basically the working group page. Is that the data tracker landing page basically?
No, the GitHub landing page for the core working group.
Okay.
And of course, data tracker can reference this as a resource again. even though I'm not sure how a working group. I know that a document can reference a resource, but I'm not sure about working groups. I would have to look that up.
Yeah, I think just looking at GitHub now, you just get a list of the repositories, and yeah, that's basically it. Oh no, there's a pinned repository there. Working group materials. So it's not, yeah.
Yeah, and we would probably just put a pointer there. The wiki could be on the main working group repository, or we can decide that, but I think it's the main point will be to first of all keep the wiki alive, make sure things actually are written up there, and to leave the necessary pointers to this in all the places where we think these pointers are good. And I think we could even get IENA to put a note into the RT and IF registries for this. This is probably a new thing, but I think we might be able to do that.
Yeah, that's at least easier to do, I think, for IENA than having some sort of new registry for the top level URNs. So that, yeah, that could be another possibility, but then you really do need a new registry, even if it's an informative one, where you can voluntarily register items.
IENA could point to a wiki. I think that should be possible. IENA
Yeah,
will not
I think so.
want to add another registry that actually is not needed for the purpose that registries are created for.
Okay, yeah, that could be something. But yeah, I'm just thinking we don't have this wiki yet then. So if you talk about the GitHub page.
Well, I just put the links in the chat, and the first one is to the root of the wiki, where you can create specialized wikis, and we have 5 or 6 already. So it would be about creating a new specific wiki on this. And then the wiki in tab can be...
Wiki, do you mean wiki or wiki page?
Well, wiki page, the first link I put in the chat.
Yeah, that's the home page of the core wiki.
Right.
And it's called wiki.
Yes.
Okay.
So the actual resources are in that list on the right. I think you'll be about creating one more of those, and there we can put that list. And then that particular wiki page can be linked in the landing page, and that's the second link I put in the chat. And as a resource in the data tracker or an IENA registry if possible, yeah.
I'm not seeing the... Oh, that link, yeah.
Yeah,
sorry.
That's the landing page.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, is pinned on top of the GitHub page for the core GitHub organization. So somehow we may try to pin as much as possible also the link to that wiki, of course. But maybe we can start preparing the list of URNs in question, and when we have all the material, we can try to set up the details like a wiki page.
Yeah, okay.
So maybe ask if you start preparing that list and send it to us, then we can follow up.
Right, I will make a start and think about that. Yeah, maybe there's just only the KNX related entries there, but there could be a few more. Yeah.
But sure, we'll try to make it as visible as possible with the tools that we have.
I think that's a bit of the... If you talk about the wiki page, it seems like there's one item there in the center that draws your attention. And
no, it will be a new dedicated page that in the web page you are looking at now, you see listed on the right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But it kind of, is it built from the repository actually?
Yes.
Or...
Yes, yeah, it's under the core working group GitHub organization still. Yes.
The second link, wait a minute, that's not the second link now. No, you can look at the code of the wiki, and then there's just a readme.md file with nothing in it. Okay, interesting. Just trying to see how this works. So there's nothing in actual code for the core wiki project. If you click the code.
So I've never created a new page from scratch. I'm pretty
just
sure
doing
Christian.
that.
Sorry?
Give me a couple of seconds and we will have a page where you can put in stuff.
Okay.
Okay. Oh, it's basically using GitHub wiki system. So it's kind of separate then. It probably lives in a branch then or so. No, it doesn't live in a branch.
Well, it's not the branch. It's actually a separate mini repository. So if you go into I don't know how it works for a working group organization, but if you have a wiki on a draft repository, then you type the repository name and then .wiki to get a Git document, a Git repository that is just the wiki information. But you can also use the user interface, the web pages from GitHub to actually edit those.
Yeah, okay.
So here's my new wiki. This is not a great permanent link because we might want to edit the title and then suddenly that link doesn't work anymore. That is a bit suboptimal.
Yeah, it could be a really some place that remains stable, right? Yeah, no, I was also thinking that you could have wikis, but it's also just an idea to have some sort of very, very simple. You just have one markdown file and then put it in a repository, and that's the reference, and you can update it using the Git normal Git operations.
Right, you could even just do put the information in the README.
readme.md with a list, and so you basically land on the page and you get the list, and that's it. Well, at least that I'm not sure what benefits. The wiki page has the benefit that you can maybe edit it right in the web browser.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's easier to get other people to add information to a wiki. It's easier to control who edits information in a repository.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, well, something to consider then. Okay.
Okay, so once this is populated, we will link it wherever we can.
Yeah, we can certainly start collecting the information on this wiki page, and if we want to turn it into a repository, that's a simple operation.
Mm-hmm.
Because in the end, it's all markdown.
Yep. Oh, that's good.
Okay, thanks a lot, Esko.
Yeah, thanks for the input.
And next item is href, and I saw slides from Karsten.
Yeah, let me try to find those. Okay. So we are in this process of applying finishing touches to the href document, and up to a couple of weeks ago, we mostly were focusing on test vectors, and that is still relevant. But there also was One more point that Christian actually brought up. Now that we have all these wonderful CRIs, we might want to support actually using them in the context of CoAP. And of course, one way of using CRIs with CoAP is to use them the same way we use URIs with CoAP, which is we have defined procedures to convert the information in the URI to CoAP options like URI path and URI query and so on. And that's in sections 6.4 and 6.5 of RFC 7252. And we could write analog sections for CRIs. I didn't manage to do this before this meeting. It probably should be pretty straightforward. The only technical meat there would be handling the anomaly of a trailing slash right behind an authority. So we went with HTTP's exception there, and we would have to explain that in this new section 8.1 for CRIs as well. So that's still to do. The other thing was that we discussed there are two CoAP options that actually probably deserve getting analogs. And one is the proxy URI option, which we use with forward proxies to give them complete URIs. So for instance, a forward proxy could do an HTTP request for us, which of course we cannot describe in CoAP options. We need something special for that, and we designed proxy URI for that. But of course, it would be much more appropriate for a constraint system to use CRIs for that. So we add a CoAP option called proxy CRI. The other thing that we may want to do is that there is this lightweight version of proxy URI where we only add a scheme. So we would have an identifier for the HTTP scheme in the proxy scheme, in the existing proxy scheme option of RFC 7252. And given that we now have a way to number all schemes, we might want to make use of a more compact number. So let's look at these two in sequence. The proxy CRI is pretty boring. This is an option with the same CU and R settings as the proxy URI. And the only difference is this time it's format opaque because it's binary data. It's the encoded CBOR data item for the CRI, but otherwise it has the same semantics. You do need to say what happens if somebody puts in both the proxy URI and the proxy CRI. I wrote that the CRI overrides the URI, and I also wrote that you must not send a CoAP message that has both. So you must not send, but if you receive one, then you know which of the two to prioritize. So I think that's pretty straightforward. And the other one is the proxy scheme number. So this has essentially exactly the same semantics as the proxy scheme, except that the proxy scheme option uses the text label, and this uses a numeric label. We do not even need to CBOR encode that numeric label because CoAP comes with its own integer encoding, but CoAP only supports unsigned integer, and we are currently using negative scheme numbers. So we have to mirror that space into the non-negative, into the unsigned space. And I wrote text that just says the value of this option is -1 minus the scheme number. So for scheme number -1, which is CoAP, you get an option value of 0, and for scheme number -2, which is CoAP S, you get an option value of 1, and so on. Option value of 0, of course, can be represented in 0 bytes in CoAP, and an option value of 1 is represented in 1 byte, and so on. So when I wrote this, I wondered whether first doing all this work for making the scheme numbers negative, and then kind of undoing that work in this option, whether that's actually the right way to do things. For people who look at the registry, it may seem very strange that we are using negative numbers in the registry. So the alternative would be to make the registry unsigned and to do the ones complement on the scheme ID number that can start a CRI. So this would be no technical change, but it's a different exposition. So the registry would be unsigned, and you would only turn it into negative for use as the first data item in a CRI. So I think that's easier to explain, but of course it means changing a little bit in the document to explain it that way. So I'm not yet sure that we actually should be making this change. And the current pull request is not making it, but I think it would be a little bit more palatable that way, and I would love to hear feedback on that.
Karsten, to understand better, in that case, the registry would include an entry 0 for CoAP, so it counts from 0, right?
Yes.
Okay. And then for the CRI instead, that means that the scheme ID there is computed starting from the value in the registry, and then you increment and negate.
You increment and negate.
Right? Because CoAP has to be -1 in the
Yes.
CRI. Right.
So the formula would be the same that's on the slide. Scheme number equals -1 minus option value.
Right. Okay,
So
only applied to compute scheme ID.
Yeah. So of course, if you are writing this in C, you would just use the tilde operator. So all CPUs have that in one instruction. But in math, we don't have a tilde operator. So when we define this in the document, we say -1 minus.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, I think it sounds good what you proposed with going to the positive numbers in the registry. And maybe I just would like to know what was the reason for going for the negative. I think it's because the positives were used for other things, right? In CRI.
Yeah, in CRI that starts with an unsigned number, which might be 0 or positive. That is a discard value, and a negative value is a scheme number. So that just means something very different.
Yeah, okay. That was the reason then, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, then it makes sense, I think, what you propose.
Okay. So I'll go ahead and update the document with that approach.
Kirsten, I think you had another discuss point on the GitHub.
Yeah. So we currently have no way to provide a location URI with a different scheme. So we cannot say in the response to a post, for instance, the newly created object is here, but please use CoAP plus TCP to get to it, and not just CoAP. And that is a limitation of 7252, which at the time we thought was appropriate. We didn't have Core plus TCP yet, so we didn't see a lot of applications for including the scheme information there. But now that we have different CoAP URI schemes, we might want to fill this hole. And if we want to do that, then of course having a numeric way to specify this would also be useful. But it's not something that directly comes from href. It only came to my mind because I looked at the ways URIs are handled, and we have the request URIs, but we don't have a complete set of CoAP options for the location URIs. So we could fill this in this round.
Okay, any plan to introduce it also in its non-CRI version or non-numeric version?
That's always a question. Why do we need the other choice? I mean, it seems clean to have both choices, like we have both choices with a scheme. But if we had the URI scheme registry in 2013, we would never have proposed to send the text label. We would always only have used the scheme number. So I think that given that we have a situation where we have that registry, it seems appropriate to only support the numeric version.
These are good considerations to have in the document anyway, I think.
Yes, probably.
Someone will ask at some point.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, looks good. I think it's pretty uncontroversial, details apart, but okay. Good. So this will appear also in the next submitted version, I suppose.
Right.
Okay.
So I'm going to work on this pull request, do the two things we just discussed, write the text that is an analog to 6.4, 6.5 with a procedure for converting between CRIs and CoAP options. And then I'm going to ask for approvals for this pull request, and we can go forward with the next version.
Yeah, about the first discussed point, by the way, one shouldn't really or has no apparent reason to convert the CRI to URI first and then use the 7252 procedure to build the options, right?
No, but it probably should give the same result.
Right. I was getting there. Okay.
The whole point about handling this in terms of CRIs is that you don't have to convert to a text format and then back to a binary format.
But there's not much we can say on the opposite direction because the opposite conversion is left undefined.
Right? For URIs, yes, but I haven't made up my mind yet whether we actually would be defining it for CIs. Because we don't have all the uncertainties and vagaries of the text format here. So we could actually say there is a well-defined meaning of the CoAP options in terms of the CI that's coming out at the end.
All right. Yeah, at a glance, the proposed option numbers also look correct. I haven't super double checked.
Yeah, so I was thinking they should be in the +1 space, so they should be less than 256. because in particular, if you are using a proxy CRI, there may not be a need for any other option. So it makes sense to have it reachable via 1 byte from 0. And I thought then we should put proxy scheme number in the same space, but we should be filling this space from the end. And since 35 and 39 are the proxy URI and proxy scheme option numbers, it's nicer to remember if we just add 200 to them.
Mhm.
But let me check those numbers. That's a good point.
Yeah, it's always quick to see they're critical and they're available, but then
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, looks good. Thank you. Any more question or input for Karsten? Which brings us to the end. And there's no particular AOB, just a reminder that we did schedule an interim meeting in 2 weeks, but we don't really expect to use it unless something really critical and urgent pops up. Otherwise, we plan to not have it, actually, and then we resume in January, and that series is also scheduled. Okay, so if we don't talk in 2 weeks, see you on the list for a while.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe we should just mention that there is an adoption call
Sure.
out there. I think we didn't mention that yet. And if there's anything we can discuss about that now, then we should do that. Otherwise, we can discuss it on the list, or if all else fails, we could actually have that meeting in 2 weeks and have a discussion there. But I think the adoption calls are pretty non-controversial. Richard.
Yeah, on the topic of the adoption call, I was going to write a mail to respond to that because I've been following that document and I've also been working on an implementation of the functionality described. So I was planning to send a mail on the list regarding it.
Great.
Yes.
Please do.
Yes.
Esko, your mic is on. Did you want to say something?
Oh yeah, I was just wanted to say bye, but then the adoption call came up. So just wondering, is there anything I could do there? Because for the authors of the document, they don't have to respond, right? Or they can. Sometimes they can.
Well, if you have additional information that might help the working group chairs make a decision, then
Yeah.
please provide that.
Yeah. Well, okay. Not sure if there is any, but could be useful to think about it. Yeah.
So this is a confirmation call. So we had the in-room consensus and we are confirming the in-room consensus. So if nobody sends anything, then
Yeah.
the draft will be adopted.
Okay. Oh, very good. All right. Thank you.
Good.
See you next time then.
So have a good holiday time and good start for the new year if we don't meet in person until then.
Same to you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah. Same to you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so
Bye-bye.
much. Bye-bye.
Bye.